Welcome to another episode of Humans for Humanity. Some people learn to speak by raising their voice. Others learn by first losing it, by softening so much that they almost disappear, by loving so deeply they forget where they end and others begin. And then, piece by piece, they remember, not all at once, but in the quiet, in the ache, in the boundaries they never used to set. This is Humans for Humanity, not a performance, a reclamation. A space for the ones who've been hurt by the very people they tried to help, who've been mistaken for weak because they chose grace over revenge, who've had to rebuild their intuition from the ruins of projection and spiritual betrayal. And today we're joined by Celia Ponzo. She's a psychic intuitive, healer, and mentor, but those are just the words. What she really is a mirror, one that stayed clear even when others threw their shadows at her. She's walked through jealousy, misjudgment, abandonment, and still she chose not to close her heart because she knows that real love doesn't come from proving anything. It comes from presence, from truth, from the long, sacred labor of returning to yourself. This isn't just a conversation about healing, it's about the cost of authenticity, what it takes to keep your soul intact in spaces that want to break it, and how sometimes the wound that almost ended you becomes the door that finally lets you in. This is the reckoning of the light that entered through the wound. Let's begin. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful and honored. I have been watching your readings for a long time, and you have been a big part of my spiritual journey. So I just wanted to appreciate you, on camera and off. But yes, I
Likewise.
appreciate it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
Yeah,
you. Likewise.
yeah,
So, this came at a very impactful and perfect time because this day is kind of like a portal for you.
yes.
So let's kind of start in that direction here.
Whew.
Okay. So you had an experience that could have went a whole different direction. You had to really stand in your divine authority after kind of having to be met with the utmost resistance. Like your path was quite literally blocked. Talk about how did that lead you closer to your spirituality?
So 9 years ago, on this day, July 15th, I got stabbed in the side of my stomach, and I'm trying not to cry, so if it comes out, I apologize, but, um, I did get stabbed, and it's a very long story, but to shorten it up, it was kinda like one of those things that just you would never guess would happen and would never guess that would happen to me because I was so shy and timid and to myself. And my energy wasn't vibrant and open, it was closed off and to myself. And this is how I would operate. And so the fact that it had happened, I couldn't wrap my head around it. But my spiritual journey didn't start until 4 years after that. So I think between that time frame, I was afraid to step out in the world after that happened. I couldn't even go to the store alone. I was very codependent on people because I was afraid that a stranger was going to stab me because that's exactly what happened. A stranger stabbed me. And I feel like getting over that hurdle, whew, I'm feeling, I apologize. I'm feeling
No,
like
no,
a lot of
please take
emotions.
your time. That's okay. This is your
Um,
portal, girl. You're taking your power back.
Yeah, I it's interesting that the King of Swords came out because 'cause I'm looking at the sword, I'm looking at it right there, and then the next one over is the Ace of Wands in reverse. It's almost like what was sent to destroy me, I made the conscious decision to flip that energy around and turn it into power. And that's really what I
Mhm.
feel like this has taught me from the start is turning your pain into power, alchemizing your trauma and not letting it become your identity. Um, yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, when I saw that King of Swords come out first, I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
we're going
We're
right
just going
into it."
straight for it.
But how could it
Yeah.
not? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's we chose this day for that reason, so I
Yeah,
don't know why I would
exactly.
have expected anything different to come out smack dab in the middle
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the first
Mhm.
card.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so let's kinda stay there for right now in that
Okay.
same energy.
Yeah.
Talk about in that 4-year time span in between the event and the spiritual awakening, there was this, like, blanket that came off, and you were like, "Oh, this is what's important." Talk about that blanket removal.
So I feel like the blanket for me was comfort zone, my comfort levels, having people around me and not being able to be independent. That was a big part of my journey was I had no sense of independence. I relied on everybody for answers. And I feel like between that time frame to now, it's obviously a big gap, but I realized that owning a business, you have to become a problem solver. You can't ask people, how do I fix this in my business? Because when you work in a 9 to 5, you ask the boss, what do I do? But you have to become your own boss. So I feel like that time frame, that was me realizing that I had to start figuring stuff out on my own and not letting fear paralyze me. And the trauma of what happened stopped me from living my life. And I feel like that was the most violent shift that could have occurred in my life because it was very hard to experience.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like the cracking of an eggshell, like, that
Yes.
experience was literally this cracking for you, and it's
Yes.
like you tried to reconstruct the shell that you were in before, and then you were like, "Oh, wait, I needed to lose the shell." That's what this
Yes.
was.
Yes.
That
100%.
that's exactly yeah, independence, yeah.
Yeah.
Independence that I didn't really ask for, that came on strong out of nowhere. Okay, so what's your favorite piece of who you are as a person that you gained from your business?
My confidence. No brainer. I feel like I had absolutely no confidence before this is going to sound crazy, but before I got stabbed, I had no confidence. I was very to myself. I didn't even talk in middle school or high school. Like I was just so shy and quiet. And if I hadn't experienced these things, I feel like I would have never got to see me. And although, I didn't ask for it and I didn't want it to happen, nobody wants stuff like that to happen. But although I didn't want that to happen, I'm so grateful that it did, and I take pride and joy in my pain because I no longer identify with it. It's a piece of me, but it's not who I am anymore. And being able to talk about this is so freeing to me. I just feel so emotional and I'm just so grateful. That's one thing that comes from the trauma is being grateful for how it has shaped you because I'm very grateful for every experience that enters my reality.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking of that line from that song, and it's crazy that I'm grateful for all the pain. A
Yeah.
lot more free is the song, a lot more free, forget the artist, but a lot more free.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take it in the direction of the pain freeing you. When this experience happened, what is one thing that you realized was a main factor holding you back?
The fear of being perceived in a certain way. So the projections of other people, what other people thought of me, which is why I was so quiet growing up because I was afraid that I would be judged, not realizing that the very thing that I'm afraid of being judged for is who I am. So I feel like becoming me has been such an eye opener because the pain showed me like, I've been on my spiritual journey for about 4 to 5 years, and social media, you will receive a lot of negative backlash, a lot of negative projections of people, just throwing their pain onto you, and it helped me develop thick skin because people would tell me, "You're going to hell, you're the devil," this and that, like, people would talk about my weight, my appearance, like, everything. And the very thing that I was afraid of happening happened the more I started to push through that pain. But on the other side of that was me. It was that peace that everybody looks for in life. And it's not something that you can explain unless somebody else has experienced the same type of chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't even have anything to add. That was perfect. You made a point at some point, "This pain that I have, I'm going to transmute it." Talk
Yeah.
about that conversation with your higher self.
This one's a little bit hard to talk about because people think that you find power in loving yourself, and that is true. But before that part, before you start to develop, hey, I'm going to start treating myself better, you're in this spot where you hate yourself. Um, and I think people get stuck in that spot of just despising the things about them that they don't like. You gotta stop listening to what other people are telling you. You gotta stop asking other people for opinions. You have to look within you. It's great to get opinions from other people and, to ask for advice. But at the end of the day, at the end, you have to ask you, is this okay with me? Does this feel good to me and my spirit and my body? Because I've had many experiences where I've asked for advice from other people that didn't align with what I was feeling in my heart and soul. And, you know, especially going to like other readers and energy healers, like there's not one person that is the end all be all. And I think a very important piece of the spiritual journey is not taking everything that one person says as the answer, taking bits and pieces of different energy readers and forming your own bias is a big part of, or was a big part of my journey, and still is, because I'm still growing, and we're going to be growing and healing until the day that we die. So I think it's just realizing that when you start to trust the internal world, the external world will follow. And yeah, just letting go of that pain and trusting you and knowing that if you need help, you can ask for help. But the real connection is between you, the higher power, God, source, whatever it is you believe in, because that is your connection. That is the higher self. That is you. That is the answer.
Yeah. Wait till you see how perfectly everything that you're saying is aligning with the book that's about to be re-released, that you have no idea you are literally nailing all of the points on.
I believe
Okay,
it.
so I have my next question, but I want to figure out how I want to word it.
The High Priestess in reverse. Uh,
Do you feel to some degree as though your higher self is having you put together some kind of puzzle that is particular to your understanding of life?
100%. And I'm very glad you asked that question because a lot of my teachings are, everybody has their own unique twist onto things, and I feel like what I was saying before about people getting tripped up about, well, this person said this, so I have to follow this. I feel like for me specifically, I meant to pave the way for myself that doesn't look like anybody else's, so I could pave the way for other people that have that same path that doesn't look like anybody else's. So it's like I'm not forming people that are going to follow my lead. I'm forming other leaders, We're aligning to this vibration of people having their positive, I don't even like to use the word positive and negative because energy is energy, but having their strengths and weaknesses. And I feel like a lot of the people that come to me have strong beliefs on certain things that I'm not well informed on, but I give them that piece of their puzzle as well as the piece of my puzzle. They have it too. So it's like I'm not just helping them, they're helping me along the journey too. Like I believe that you're a piece of my puzzle, like I'm a piece of your puzzle. We're helping each other. So 100%, yes, I believe that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. These were the two perfect cards to come out for the question I already had. But being that we have Four of Swords in the middle, let's take it in the direction of dreams. Okay, I was going internal dream, but this is external dream.
Yeah.
Talk about a dream that you have because of your spiritual awakening that you couldn't have had before.
That is a tough one. And I feel like it's because, well, you know what? I feel like in this energy, in this vibration of me now, anything is possible. And it's not even necessarily a dream. It's that before my spiritual awakening, I thought nothing was possible. So it was the idea of more possibilities. That's the dream. And it is a dream to have endless possibilities because especially with the society that we're in, everybody has such a negative perception on the world, you know? And I could go deep into it about like the childhood trauma and the environmental factors and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the world is your oyster, and I believe that I could do anything I set my mind to. And I feel like the dream that I had wanted back then is a dream I already accomplished. I'm living in my dream by believing that if I set my mind to something, I could do anything. But if we're going like on a deeper, I don't even know, because like my dream is to help other people, which I have. I've helped thousands of people, and I know I'm going to help thousands more. And so I guess my dream would just be to continue to grow on my spiritual journey. And I never want to stay capped at a certain level. Like every time I hit a like my growth, I want to keep going. So it's like it's just a never-ending cycle of the ebb and flow of life.
So you view it like I view it, like you climb the ladder, you turn around, and you pick somebody back up.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
people have not always treated you the same, so let's go in that direction.
Yeah.
When the world is jealous of your light. Okay, how did I know it was gonna go there? Um, talk about the impact it has had to try and pull yourself up, while those who you want it to bring with you may have tried to pull you down.
Um,
Take your time.
Thank you. I feel like, from the day I was born, I've always had such a pure heart, but I didn't always know that I did, you know? I just I loved everybody, and I just thought that life was beautiful, and before I got stabbed, I was very innocent, so I had this innocence to me of just spreading love and light, and even before my awakening, I would just make posts like, "I hope everybody smiles and has a great day." Like, it was just like a vibe that I had within me, and after that happened, I lost that light. I lost it, and, you think that people would be happy for you when you find that light again, but instead you're met with resistance because some people can't look you in the eye or look at your growth and see their lack of. And, being more self aware, I understand why people operate the way they do. I understand why I receive backlash from, friends, family, whatever it is. Like, I've received so much backlash, but at the end of the day, I feel like that is a part of the journey is, that growth is going to shine light on people's darkness. And even though the spiritual side of me understands it, my human self still hurts. My inner child still hurts. It's like, why aren't you proud of me, you know? Why
Yeah,
why um why can't people be happy for you? Um
yeah.
but yeah,
I'm proud of you. Your inner child is proud of you too.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's take it in the direction of your inner child. Let's allow your inner child to have fun with this answer.
Okay.
There's a piece of you that your inner child looks to as safety right now. Talk about that safe place.
The energy shift is crazy because I'm very I'm I know exactly the energy that's coming out, and it's that inner protector, that like the masculine within you, that nobody's gonna mess with me now because I had this soft, nurturing, feminine energy and nobody appreciated it. So I had to appreciate it myself. And now that I'm here, now that I'm in this vibration of, okay, I can protect me. I'm not going to let anybody hurt you. It sometimes it sometimes goes a little bit overboard. Like, I have very strong values and opinions, and I do feel like I've developed quite a relationship with my divine masculine within me. And the hardest part has been trying to balance out this feminine, emotional side. Like, if I'm, like, on TikTok live or something, like, I'll be crying one minute, laughing the next, and everybody's like, "It's an emotional roller coaster in here." I'm like, "Yep, that's me," because I am so flowy with energy that it really just depends on what energy is being reflected to me, and if I feel like there is, like, a threat to my inner child, I go full protection mode. I'm like, "No, you're not doing this to me," because I didn't have a voice back then. And now that I do have that voice, I'm going to use it not only for me, but I'm going to use it for the people that don't have that voice yet. And I'm going to use it for the people that need that voice, that need that protection, that need that inner protector in them. And I also want to reflect that it is within you, it is within everybody, but you have to find it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of the episodes of this series have fallen into a very interesting order, right? So we start with the crown, we go down to the root, and we go back up. Your episode is the throat chakra.
Sorry. That is hilarious. I've been having throat issues all week. Like, I felt like my throat was closing up 2 days ago, and I was like, and my generational wound is around the throat chakra, you know? It's around the blockage of not being able to speak your truth, especially being a woman in this society, which is why I do have such a fierce energy now of, I'm going to use my voice and I'm going to say what needs to be said, but in a way that's, you know, gentle, unless force needs to be used.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about now that it has been lifted and you have that perspective on it. Talk about the shadow that you now realize was in place that was blocking the full vibe of your voice before.
So it it of course, I would be experiencing throat chakra blockages now. I'm like, uh, I feel like it was not only, the projections of other people, but it was also the pushback that I would get. Because a lot of times, if I would receive pushback, I would be like, okay, all right, you win. I'm done. But now I don't freeze in the face of adversity. I go head to head with it, and I do believe that back then I was way too timid to even have debates with people. I would automatically assume, you're trying to go against me, like you hate me, or like it would just be like that defensive energy. And now it's like, well, we could agree to disagree because I believe everybody has their own opinions and beliefs. And just because I feel this way in my belief doesn't mean your belief is wrong. It just means this is the way I live my life. So I feel like that, knowing that piece of information has been so monumental for my growth because, again, we live in a society where people automatically get defensive when you don't agree with them, when you don't, conform to what they're saying, because in their mind, in their heart, it's true. And just because I believe something doesn't mean your belief isn't true. So that restricted I'm like, I feel it. That restricted my throat so much because I just wanted to keep the peace. But whose peace was I keeping? Not mine. I was keeping everybody
Yeah.
else's peace. Yeah.
Yeah. Whose peace was I keeping? Not mine. Yeah. Yeah. The wound of stolen stillness. Rest
Wow.
never felt safe enough to take. This wound forms when your nervous system was shaped in survival, where slowing down felt dangerous or indulgent. You learn to equate rest with risk, idleness with failure. It can leave you restless, burnt out, and unsure how to let yourself pause without guilt.
Yep.
So, what the devil uses for harm, God uses for good. Talk about how your greatest wound was actually your portal to your biggest healing.
I don't know if you can hear the
The
background noise,
train.
but the train.
Yeah.
I'm like,
We were just talking about signs and the
yep,
energy. The train's
yep,
like, "Oh,
every
got it."
time. It's like, so my beliefs, and I do believe in a big broad of the devil, and the energy behind it. I also believe that people have real life experiences, like what I've experienced. But before I, talk about it, I feel like I need to say this. I believe that when you're on a path of healing and you're conscious of your healing, the devil energy becomes a product of your own mind. So it's like the trauma that you experience could stay stuck in your mind, and that could be in itself the devil energy, which is why people end up, addictions and stuff like that, indulging into things that are not helpful to their growth. But to talk about the devil in itself, I do feel like I feel hesitant to say this, but I feel like it's important to note because that's what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. So, a small piece of when I got stabbed, it was one of those things, and he did it. I think my body was in shock, so I didn't realize it until I you know, felt it. And I was on the floor. I look up, and I'll never forget it. He's looking down at me, and he smiles in my face, and then starts running. And that moment right there, that was the closest moment I feel like I ever had to the devil. That energy of possession, or because what I believe it is too is possession of your own pain, and you're inflicting it onto other people. And so I felt his pain, and I was used as a vessel for it. And I feel like that definitely, ooh, I got the chills. That definitely shifted the dynamic of my whole life, the trajectory of my life. I don't know where I would have been if that hadn't happened. As much as I hate that it happened, I'm grateful for it. And I feel like it makes me a better healer because of it, because the people that come to me they feel broken. And for anybody here watching, you're not broken. Your soul feels lost, but it's always right here. It's always within you. But the people that come to me feel broken, their hearts feel shattered. And I feel like that experience makes me so much more relatable to the everyday struggles that people go through, because everybody has a sad story, but it's what you choose to do with your pain and your trauma that shapes your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even wanna add anything to that. I just wanna everybody take a moment to just, whew. Yeah, that's probably one of the best descriptions that I've ever heard of it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's crazy how the worst things that happen to us give us perspectives that not a lot of people would have, but a lot of people can learn from. So, thank you for that.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so in that regard, let's talk about that. Let's talk about shadows that we carry from childhood. Talk about in one way that has shaped you or impacted you today. Take your time.
This topic is a very touchy subject because this is actually a topic that I don't talk about. I talk about the generics of it and how, everybody has the childhood trauma, but I don't think I've ever actually expressed this out loud, because at the end of the day, I don't take any, I don't have any resentment for how I was raised. And, your parents, they give you what they can with what they had. And they can go as far as they can with what they had growing up. It's that generational pain. But I do feel like whether or not it was intended to happen, did feel alone. I didn't really feel like I had, a very strong energy of love, because I was so emotional. I'm a Pisces. I was so emotional. I would always like just get so emotional, and everybody around me, people joke and say, "Oh, you're just so sensitive," but like everybody around me would say stuff like that, and I think it was even just that little word had such a huge impact on my growth because I have a business because of my emotions, you know? I was able to quit my 9 to 5 because of how deep I feel everything and because of my ability to express it in a manner that's understood by others. And I feel like growing up hearing you're so sensitive, this, and that, it just really messed with me and my ability to freely express myself to the world, which is why I do feel like I was on the quieter side because nobody understands me. Nobody understands my emotions. Nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody knows what I feel. And if you try to tell it to somebody, it's fine. I've been through worse. Like it's not that bad. So it's just kind of like things people, but this could be like high school, middle school, people diminishing your path and your experiences have an effect on you. Even if it was just somebody you crossed the hall who said one mean thing to you, it has such an effect on your subconscious mind. And that's years worth of trauma that you have to dig yourself out of. So I feel like, again, that had such a huge impact on my life. It just, you know, nobody wants to go through trauma. Everybody wants to grow up, just get born into a perfect life. But I don't know that I would ever change anything that happened to me because I feel like I love who I am now. And I wouldn't be who I am now without every experience I've endured.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is kinda like the yin yang right here.
Yeah.
As you're thinking about it, like the upright and reverse
Yeah.
and oh, didn't know you had that.
Yeah. Yep. That's like
Okay.
the base of my whole life is polarity. I try to see the bad, and the in between and how it all needs to be connected in order for life to flow, in order for the wheel to move.
Right. Right. This is kinda like you created your own Wheel of Fortune, like, this isn't technically the Wheel of Fortune, but you turned it into the Wheel of Fortune
Yes.
because you mastered your emotions that you didn't really have the tools to. You created your own tools through your own death and rebirth.
Yes.
You created your own yin yang.
That freed my heart. Like, you saying that, like, expanded my heart. I felt like
Mm,
a because
good.
I don't think I've ever looked at it that way, but yeah, that's
That's
yeah.
your higher self put the cards there, I just pointed it out.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's
I
beautiful.
didn't even know you had that tattoo.
Yeah.
Hey, communication, I said your higher self put the cards there. Communication.
Oh, man.
Talk about fighting through a different rock bottom, like a rock bottom that you've experienced maybe since your awakening.
Okay. So, um, something that jump started my spiritual awakening, it was in 2020. Everybody's life changed during COVID. Like, everything changed, right? So I got COVID in 2020, around the summertime, and maybe about a couple months later, I realized what I got pregnant, and so I was in this energy of, am I, I just was there was so much going on in my mind, but in this energy of me feeling so connected to this baby that was growing in my belly, even though I had just found out, I was like, I'm very excited. I had this acceptance of, okay, this is happening. And I think that's why it hit so much harder when it was on the day of my first checkup appointment, and I was somewhere around the 9 week. It wasn't 8 weeks, it was around the 9 week mark. I woke up, I immediately knew something was wrong. I felt it in my gut, quite literally, in that energy. And, I was driving to the appointment, and around COVID, you couldn't take anybody. So I had to go alone. Um, Even though I knew, I think I was in denial about it. So it wasn't until, she's doing the ultrasound, and she gets down on her knees and she says, and I'll never forget it because the comfort that this nurse gave me. And if you're watching and if you're a nurse, like, I just have so much gratitude for you. You are the healers of the world just as much as anybody else. But she got down on her knees and she said, I want you to know that nothing you did is your fault. Like, anything, like nothing you could have done would have shifted this. And still in denial. I'm like, what is she gonna say? And so she said that the baby had stopped growing around week 6 or 7, and so it was just the fetus that was in me, and I don't remember anything else she said. To be honest, I kind of just went blank. Um, so I left the appointment, and I called my then boyfriend at the time. I had no words, and long story short is I had never, not even when I got stabbed, I had never experienced such a pain so low that I didn't want to live anymore. I was, I hardly left my bed for 3 days, just to the restroom. I didn't eat at all for 3 days. I was just in a dark room. There were no lights. And I think it was just a feeling of there has to be something more than suffering. I have to, like, I can't just be, this can't be it. I can't just live a life full of suffering. So it wasn't until maybe a month and a half after, because I had been like watching tarot readings on YouTube, but I wasn't really like doing it. I was like, I want to buy a tarot deck. And it was that moment, again, so many moments that shift the trajectory of your life, right? But it was that moment where I was like, I want to understand my pain. I want to understand why. Like, why did I have to go through that? Why am I experiencing this pain over and over and over again? So I bought a tarot deck, not with the intention to become a business owner and a healer, with the intention to understand my pain. I spent 6 to 7 months learning all the meanings, upright, reversed. I would pull cards every day and be like, okay, Knight of Pentacles. If I pulled it 3 days in a row, I would still look up the meaning every single day. Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, until it was embedded in my head. Um, Long story short is, I think the beginning of 2021 was when I felt guided to post my first reading on TikTok. And that first reading got 3,500 likes. And so anybody is gonna feel that push of, oh, okay, yeah, this feels good. And so from that moment, my business started growing and started flourishing. But I will stop there because I could keep going. We could, go on to the next question.
I'm
I'll be
so
talking
sorry
for
that you went through
10 minutes.
that.
It's okay.
That's
Thank you.
yeah. Okay. So it feels like your light has been the center of kind of the spiritual attack your whole life, because the stomach is the light, the solar plexus, and then the same situation with people trying to kind of pull you back down the ladder is the same thing as trying to dim your light. So, what would you say to the statement of part of your divine mission being to be a mirror? Like, some people are sent to, specifically work on people's psyche. Some people are sent to work on the heart. You're sent to be a mirror, like you help people see all of it. What would you say to that statement?
I am so jazzed right now because right before you pulled the cards, you said something and then you said the light. And then it hit me. My business name is called The Light of Divine Life. And to answer the question, what I always thought I was put on this earth for, well, especially in the beginning of my journey, was to spread light and to spread love and to spread positivity, which is a fraction of it. But I feel like, and I think this is a realization too, right now, why I'm so jazzed, is because for me and my business name, the light of divine life isn't just positivity, toxic positivity, and just, forgetting trauma exists. It's feeling that pain, it's experiencing it, and then living to tell the story about it. Your testimony becomes, for me, my testimony became my purpose. It became such a huge part of why I'm here. And I know many people, like, she always talks about her pain. She always talks about she went through this, like it happened 9 years ago. Get over it. I've heard so many like things like that. But I feel like it's the people that truly need to hear it will feel the vibration of that pain you went through. Something you say will resonate to them. And that's why, as long as I help even just one person, I could have 1,000 people talking negatively about me. Why? Because that one person needed to hear it. And I've been told multiple times, you saved my life. And just the feeling of that, it's worth it to me. Going through this pain, it's worth it. And getting stabbed 9 years ago, I think, not to say that, it's over, but I feel like the worst of it is over because the 9 is the number of completion. And so I feel like now I'm going to be experiencing things and it's going to still hurt, I'm going to still have to heal, but I feel like that deep, dark hole, it's not going to be the same. I'm shifting in alignments. The portal that I'm literally entering through this podcast, and thanks to you, by the way, is I'm speechless. I don't like I'm never speechless, but I'm speechless from it. Yeah.
It's like
The 3 of
so
Wands.
the Nine of Pentacles was the third one to come out in that row.
Mhm.
Okay. So, okay, so talking about the portal. When you are a mirror for others, you show them what they can see in themselves because you can see it in yourself. Talk about we keep saying like this is kind of like a portal energy for you. Talk
Yeah.
about what that means. Like someone watching who's like, okay, that sounds way out, but like
Sounds woo-woo.
the mental the mental
Yeah.
portal of it, like the realistic, like you're stepping through something. You're cutting a cord of a reality that you have outgrown. Like
Yes.
it might not be some portal that's up in the air,
Just
but you're
jumping in the
stepping
closet.
yeah, you're not jumping through my
Yeah.
screen at the end
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
But it still is that. Talk about what that means in, like, a practical sense.
It's a decision. I feel like to make it super easy, it's a decision to not let your pain weigh you down anymore. And we say portal because it just feels so magical. And when you're in this negative mindset of your pain, looping and looping and looping, that's it feels like you're stuck in that black hole. And so when you go through this portal, it's you deciding, I'm not going to let these thoughts be a product of my reality anymore. I'm not going to let this pain hold me down anymore because I have a purpose on this earth and I came here to do just that. And I feel like, especially when you're just starting your journey, like I said, it's all about love and light, but I feel like you come to realize that, at the center of it, it's you, it's the self. You are what's important. And I feel like for me, after that realization, I was like, yes, it is about me. Why? Because the more I
The train is a paid
yeah,
actor.
literally, it's like the more I focus on myself, the more people I can help. So people call me selfish for focusing on, placing my boundaries or putting me first. But when I put me first, I put the whole world first. Why? Because if I'm falling back into these old patterns, then I'm no better than the other people that are and it's not, when you're in that pain, it's hard to get out of it. But I'm no better than the energy of staying stuck in my pain. So it requires a level of selfishness to heal and to trust your journey and to trust your path, because you're going to be met with people that say, oh, well, you're this or you're that, especially after being a people pleaser for so long and saying yes to everything. And so now that I'm like, no, you changed. Yes, I did change because I'm no longer letting my pain be a product of my reality.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's different levels of spiritual service? Almost like the version of you before you had to learn to kinda really stand 10 toes down up on yourself, like, not being a people pleaser. Do you feel like there's a different level of light you can usher in now because you're able to set the boundaries?
100%. I do feel like everybody and every energy has a purpose. And, when I first started the journey, I was getting a lot of likes. I was getting like 50K, a million views, all this stuff. And it was because my heart was so open in the vibration of love. And it also is that reality, not the reality, the delusion, you know, the imagination of the possibilities of life. And now that I'm more grounded in it, I feel like I can give a perspective that's not just la la land and like, you know, the woo woo energy, but it's, yeah, this is possible, but you have to make sure that you're still living in a place of reality. You know, you have to balance out that delusion and that reality. I don't even want to call it delusion, but you know, being a business owner or even just following your dreams requires some level of delusion because nobody believes in you. Nobody believes in you until everybody believes in you. And I feel like there's this energy of you needing to push through all the naysayers. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be the people closest to you, you know, your friends, your family, the people you grew up with. Why? Because you reflect back things that they are not ready to face yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was that thing going around on TikTok, like, turn off your contacts or whatever
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
strangers that will push your content
Yeah.
out and support you.
And it's 100% true. I feel like I've had friends and family support me, but I feel like most support has come from people from all over the world, people that I've never met in my life before, just so willing to give me compassion and love and support me on my high days and on my low days, you know? And I'm just so grateful. But like I said, everything and everybody has a purpose. So, you know, if you're watching this and you feel like, oh, nobody supports me, understand that that energy is also meant to push you forward. It's a stepping stone. It's understanding that you don't need validation from other people to pursue your dreams. And I saw this thing on social media, and I have to say it. It was you can't seek validation from the generation that's cursed if you're trying to break those generational curses. So it's, you know, you're trying to break the curse. You can't be like, "Hey, validate me," because you're the one that's breaking the chains.
Yeah, that was a very good perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope I remember to go back to that, but I wanna touch one other point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip over one card at a time. Give me the first few lines that comes to mind for the statement, "It's almost like spirit is building a big net." And almost like you are a telephone pole, I am a telephone pole, the other reader is a telephone pole, the motivational speaker is a telephone pole, and what connects us is the energy. So give me a couple lines for each one. 8 of Cups in reverse.
The word I like, I know what you said, and like I guess I'm just reiterating the word that I just keep hearing is interconnectedness. So it's like every no matter which way you flip it, no matter upside down, left, right, it's all connected to one consciousness, you know? We're all in return connected to the same thing, teaching each other lessons. And something that helped me too is somebody told me once, we're all just trying to find our way back home. And I feel like we get stuck in that loop of not letting go of things that no longer serve us. That's what I feel like with the Eight of Cups in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The Empress.
Ooh. You have to make the conscious decision to not let other people's light and growth affect your shadows or trigger your shadows. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah. The Fool in reverse.
There will be times where you will look around and you won't be able to get advice from anybody because nobody is doing what you're meant to do. And I feel like there's this like fear of the unknown with that. So even though we all are interconnected, sometimes it's going back to the beginning. You got to look within you because you're afraid because nobody else is doing it. Nobody else understands you. Maybe they're not meant to. Maybe that's the bridge that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Like information gets zapped to your
Yeah,
tower and then you're meant to push it out with the other towers that you're connected to.
100%. Yes.
I want to do one more row of this because that was really good. Same thing. Strength in reverse.
Hmm. We live in a society, my favorite line. We live in a society where people see vulnerability as a threat because they're not connected to their own vulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they think you must have an ulterior motive when in reality, nope, just not being a bad person.
Yep,
Sorry, that's
yep,
so weird
exactly.
here.
That was a good addition, because yes, 100%.
Knight of Swords in reverse.
S mm, Stop looking at other people's highlight reels, because 'cause I'm feeling this energy of, like, missed opportunities, of seeing other people experiencing things and getting all these blessings, and then you feeling like you're not getting anything, or you feeling like you missed opportunities, or maybe if I would have started sooner, something would have shifted. But it's, you stop crying over spilled milk, and it's really the going internally and externally, understanding that everybody around you is a mirror, but also understanding that your path is your path alone. And looking at other people, comparing yourself to other people will only leave you feeling lack.
Yeah. Yeah. Eight of
Mm,
Pentacles.
mm.
Good timing.
Really, it's really like focusing on your growth, focusing on your path. You see, I like to focus a lot on the imagery of cards and the pentacles itself. He's building the pentacle. He's gonna, if he's looking back, guess what? He's gonna nail his finger in, or he's not gonna pay attention to his work. And so I feel like a big part of that card in itself, or the bigger message, is focus on you. You don't have to keep your head down until you don't need to keep your head down. It's like focus on your growth, tunnel vision to your dreams. You'll be a lot happier if you stop focusing on everybody else and what they're receiving, and oh, they just got married, or this person started a business, or this person's going out of the country, and it's like I'm just stuck here in my house. At the end of the day, your time will come, but you got to put the work in, because you don't know what these people experienced before that. You don't know their trials and tribulations. Not everybody has this podium to talk about their life and their experiences, and not everybody is meant to. But yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good perspective. So let's pretend we're giving your higher self the mic, and your higher self is about to give us a statement about something that we as humans perceive one way, but if we opened our mind, we could perceive it a different way. When it comes to social media, social media
How
can
did I
be
know?
a very important tool, or it can be an endless black hole, and it's,
Yeah.
again, what you said before, it goes back to your choice.
Yeah. I feel like that stems with making the conscious decision to what you choose to pour your energy into. So most people use social media to doom scroll and to throw their pain onto other people, which is why there's so much drama on social media, because they need an outlet. They need to release it, especially if people that are in this negative mindset don't cry, they don't outwardly express it anywhere else, but they just throw their pain and their triggers onto other people. So if you realize, and I feel like the Four Agreements is a good book to read with this. But if you realize that what people are saying to you or about you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves, your peace will be protected. That's exactly what has happened with me. Is I used to let every little tiny thing affect me, and then I realized, well, damn, that sucks. That sucks. But at the same time, I know it's not a reflection of how I feel about myself, because that's what's important. And that's when social media becomes the strength. It becomes a tool instead of a weapon, Um, because it's not to sound not to sound like it's like a knife, right? And somebody grabs that knife like out of your hand. But when you realize that social media is a tool and can be used to your benefit, you won't look at it so negatively, because a lot of people look at it negatively for that reason, but it's also how you choose to use it.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So how the wand and the sword are being held. I kept being drawn to your eyes being the same level as the heart that's behind you. So I don't know what the next cards are going to be, but that's what I was going with so far. Vulnerability and defense of your creativity. Vulnerability and defense of your creativity. Why is it important in a world that wants to make you hard to keep your softness, to keep your creative channels open?
So if I would have let the world harden me, who knows? And I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but everything you do is a domino effect. So who knows how many people I wouldn't have been able to help. I think of that quite often. And anytime I feel myself getting anchored into my negative thoughts, I say, no, you need to pick you back up because the world needs you. You have a purpose here on this earth, and your purpose is to be the best version of yourself, to be the most authentic version of yourself, and also to help other people. And I feel like we all have a purpose on this earth, whether it be being a reader, being a healer, being a nurse, like we were talking about. Everybody heals everybody. If you really look at it in that perspective, it's through the pain, it's through the negative comments, it's through the positive comments, it's the polarity of life. Everybody has the ability to heal everybody. And I feel like this is my role. And not letting people harden my heart is something that I feel like I can't even fathom it. That's why I have no words for it. It's like there's just no way that I would let anybody take my peace, my happiness, my purpose away from me because I came to help other people. Yeah. I-
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Talk about how at some point in your journey, you have to be the one to pick up the pen and choose to write the story instead of letting your circumstances write it for you.
Beautiful question.
Thank you.
And I feel like that's how your journey starts. Going back to what I said earlier about nobody, well, it will seem like nobody believes in you, but at the same time, people don't know how you're feeling. And I feel like that's something that has helped me on my journey because it can be so easy to be like, well, nobody cares. Nobody's asking me how I'm feeling. But sometimes we need to be the ones to reach out to other people. We need to make that choice to be conscious and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I'm going through this. And how people choose to react to it will definitely shift the alignment of who belongs in your life and who doesn't. But that's a part of the process. Something that's coming up in my mind is the Kanye song of the line where it says, "They say people are in your life for seasons, and anything that happens is for a reason." And so I feel like we're constantly shifting in and out of alignments. And, you have to tell people how you feel because people are not mind readers, not even me, not even like none of us can like genuinely read minds like that. So understanding that we're all human and when people don't know how you feel, they're not going to know how to care for you and how to be of service to you. And how people choose to react to what you're asking for will be the determining factor of who belongs in your life and who doesn't. But that's why I feel like getting more comfortable with, understanding that people are not always going to be in your life. Sometimes you have to let go of certain people because it doesn't align with your path or your future or your goals.
Talk about a moment in your life where you recognized that what you were running from was the key to setting you free.
Whew. It's like energy just that's how it feels because the the very thing that I was the most afraid of was myself. And so I feel like the key definitely was the trauma, but it was also my inability to handle it, my inability to feel such heavy emotions and not be able to express it or to just be myself around people. And, there's like so many more things that have happened to me in life that like I could say, oh, well, it was this, it was this, it was this. But I really feel like it was the fact of me constantly going through these things that was the key until I learned, oh, okay, there's something that's being reflected back to me through all these experiences that are I'm being met with. And, we can go into detail about reincarnation, past life, karmic stuff like that, but I'm not going to do that. I just feel like for whatever reason, the amount of pain I've endured was and has been the exact amount I needed to push me forward. Because the crazy thing is, even after getting stabbed, I was still like, I was still, I think it put me deeper in the hole instead of like pulling me out of it. And I feel like if I had to name one thing being the key,
Yep.
deck of cards. Buying that deck of cards is the reason I have a business today. And I would never in my life would I have thought that I could be a business owner, let alone helping people out of such dark, heavy trauma. I never thought that I would be capable of doing that, but it was because I was able to pull myself out of it, with the help of mentors and, people along the way. But just appreciating every experience has showed me that everything has something to teach you. Everybody has something to teach you, but are you paying attention to it? Are you listening? And I point right here because, the intuition, it's the internal. You got to be listening to yourself. You got to put your radio on that frequency to understand what life is trying to teach you.
Right. In regard to tarot and kind of how you spoke about tarot. So you view it a lot like I view it, I think, in the way of like it's not just the cards, it's like what they mean, what they symbolize. It's almost like this Morse code that you've created with your higher
Yes.
self.
Yes.
Talk about how your gifts are more than just the cards in whatever way you want to take that.
I feel like my gifts to the world is I'm trying not to get emotional because it's having the open heart that I do, in a world full of people that have so much hate in theirs. And I feel like that is my gift to life. It's the cards, yes, it's my intuition, yes, but it's also my ability to still choose love when the world has pushed me down and, energetically thrown so much hate and pain and suffering my way. I never let my trauma become anybody else's problem but my own. And in return, I allowed my heart to open, knowing that I was scared. And, I'm still scared of some things, it's hard to trust people. It's hard for me to just be open and, just because I used to be somebody that would just throw love everywhere. Oh, yes, everything's beautiful. But now I'm like, I meet somebody and I'm like, hello. Like the energy is just so different. But I feel like still making that conscious decision to be open and share my emotions with the world, because not a lot of people can do that. It's hard for people to tap into their emotions. It's hard for people to have heartfelt communication with other people. So if I can be that beacon of light, or if I can, shine my heart center in a way that people need it, then by all means, that's what I feel like my biggest gift is my heart. It's being me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about you being the mirror and what you went through should have hardened your heart. I mean, even to just basic strangers, do you feel like in a way your spirit's proof of like, no, you actually don't have to let your trauma stop you. You actually don't have to let your trauma make you pour it onto other people.
1000%. Yes, I do feel that way. And for a long time, I did. Whether this be, it wasn't my intention, but for a long time, I had a victim mentality, what about me? Me, because nobody cared about me. But I was being reflected by other people that I didn't care about me. I wasn't making that choice to put me first. And the minute I realized that, the second I realized that, everything shifted.
Right.
Everything.
Right. Because of your choice.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Right. Hierophant in reverse, your choice. Are you going to let it dismantle your belief system or are you going to rebuild it? When things go wrong and the rug is ripped out from underneath of you, talk about what is one message that this version of you would pass to the version of you that existed before that stabbing incident?
Very simple. You can get through anything you set your mind to. And I feel like if this version of me were to tell that version of me, I would have listened. Why? Because of that gift that I have, the heart. I would have recognized it. I would have felt it. I would have understood it. Even if I didn't understand it, it's like the belief, it's the faith. Having that faith would have pushed me forward if I would have heard that. And ironically enough, I feel like I did. I feel like in synchronicities, angel numbers, seeing my birthday, names, like just so many beautiful things happening in the world was my heart saying, you can do anything you set your mind to. And I followed those crumbs until they became big pieces of the puzzle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You build it
Mm.
brick by brick
Yeah, brick by brick.
by yourself. You're healing by
Wow.
yourself, brick by brick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm being drawn to Jacob's interview where he talked about a quote from Will Smith, and he said that there's a quote where it's like, if I just lay this brick perfect and then I spend all my time getting that perfect, then I go get another brick and I just lay that one perfect. It doesn't matter how long it takes because I'm building something here. Talk about how that energy has shown up for you.
Here comes the polarity because I feel like I'm thinking of both sides of the coin. And I started the journey just like that. If I just put this right here, everything will be fine. And then as I'm going, who knows, like 10 yards to get the other brick, and I come back, and by that time something has shifted already. Like, it rained or like something moved the energy of where this other thing was supposed to go because I had a plan. This was going to go here, but now something is in the way. So now I can't. So I feel like it's the perfectionism that I had because I used to be very lazy. I'm not going to lie. I was very lazy. I was very, to myself, and I became somebody who pushed myself so hard to the point of exhaustion. And you don't realize when you're like, I don't want to be that version of me. You're running, you're running, you're running, and you forget to turn around and see how far you've went. And now you're exhausted. You're drained. Nobody's around you because you cut everybody and everything out of your life because it's I got to keep me safe. I got to do this for me. So it's really the balance of understanding that nothing or nobody is perfect and things are not always going to go as planned. But if you can allow the flow to move through you while still making decisions and taking action in between that time frame, you're going to find the balance of life. Which is why I say that 9-year cycle is over because no matter what comes my way now, all I gotta do is balance my energy. Oh, it's time for you to take action, Celia. Okay. 3 months later, it's time for you to rest, Celia. Okay. Back then, I didn't have that in my life. It was just like, I gotta push myself. I gotta push myself. And if I continue going, then I'll be the best version of me. Not realizing that my spirit is just feeling drained after that. So, perfectionism is your best friend and your worst enemy at the same time.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you graduate from perfectionism, you graduate into like just being an independent self-starter. You don't need the perfectionism, but it helped to get you there in a way.
Yeah, it was like a push to start.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the reversals of the heavy cards met with imbalance. So talk about someone who is listening to this right now and is like, "Man, I really wanna do that. I wanna go with the flow. I wanna ride the wave. I'm dealing with all this really heavy stuff right now. How do I get on the wave? How do I start to get on the wave?"
You start with your thoughts because your thoughts are so important. And I feel like I felt this too in the beginning of, well, I want to do that, but I don't know how. Like, how do I start? Like, you just have so many ideas and so many things in your mind. You got to start with you. So if you are actively saying negative things every single day, you have to shift your mindset. And it starts with, not looking in your mirror and saying, oh, I hate this about myself, or oh, like I got to shift this. And you can have, those opinions about yourself because that's what pushed me to go to the gym and start, working out because I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. But you can do it in a way that's not going to tarnish your, your soul. Because this is the way I see it, is the way you talk to yourself. At least I know for me, I wouldn't talk to anybody that way. Back then, I wouldn't have said anything like that to other people. So it's like, treat you the way you want others to treat you, and vice versa, Treat other people the way you want to be treated. And also treat yourself in a positive way, because if you're looking in the mirror every single day and trying to find something negative about yourself, it's going to be hard for you to get over anything, because my business is an extension of what goes on in here. So, it how do I say this without going on a tangent? That those 3 cards, I did have a struggle financially within my business. My business started failing 2 years ago, and it was because I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, and I was like, I'm just gonna live my life and be happy and still try to maintain a business. So I was going out and just living my life and having fun. My business started failing. I started getting less clients. Why? Because when you're imbalanced in here, the world around you is going to reflect that back to you. And that was a very hard lesson that I had to learn. But again, it showed me so much about how everything you do and say, between your habits, your discipline, your action, the flow, like surrendering to the control of life, has an effect on your goals and what you're wanting to pour your energy into. So you got to start right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so let's give the mic to your higher self then. I'm gonna pull one card at a time, few lines per card. Your higher self is gonna give a speech kinda in whatever direction your higher self feels like taking it. I'm not even gonna direct. I don't even think your higher self. Okay, yeah, see, I don't even need to direct. I don't even need to
It makes a lot
direct.
of sense already. Yeah. So, the Hangman, it's all about stillness. It's funny that this card is coming right after what I just said, because you don't realize that you're running from your pain until you're in a dark room alone by yourself with your thoughts. But it's those very thoughts that need to flow through your mind in order for you to keep going. So people have issues with, and it's funny that the 2 pentacles is like right next to it too. It's like that imbalance of knowing when to sit in stillness and listen to your spirit, and knowing when it's time to get up and take action, because you can allow your pain to consume you and just get stuck, and your pain can become quicksand, and it's harder to get out the deeper you go. So stillness is key, and it's also what's going to help you with your thoughts, but you have to experience it first. So these thoughts are going to come up, but you have to sit with them, because how you heal it is by feeling it.
Yeah. Sit in it, just don't live in it.
Yeah.
Hermit in reverse. Of
The
course.
alignment, the alignment. Um, yeah.
He's like, "I wanna be upside down too."
Literally, he's like, I want. Okay, so the Hermit, I've started to read Destiny Matrix charts, which is why I'm laughing so much, because a big part of my financial growth was the number 9, which is the Hermit. It's connected to tarot in there. So a base of how I become successful is through stillness, but also knowing when to get out of it. And oh my gosh, I had such a hard time knowing when to get out of it, and knowing when to, let myself have fun. Because I would always be on the side of like, I need to be alone, I need to isolate. I had quit drinking for 6 months. I was like, I need to focus on me. And then it was like, when my inner child wanted to have fun, it was like, no, you need to work, you need to do this. And then my inner child was like, what about me, what about my fun? So your inner child needs to express itself too. So it's just the balance and flow of knowing when it's time for your inner child to go out and play, and knowing when it's time for you to do homework inside the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Queen of Swords in reverse.
Not not being mean to yourself. Because I feel like even right there, I was very stern with myself. It's like, no, you can't do that. And you're allowed to talk to yourself in a way that's like, okay, I know this isn't in my best interest, so I'm not going to do it. Instead of being like, no, you're a failure if you do that, or da da da, because that's how I used to talk to myself. And my higher self would always slap me silly every time I would say things like that. Because if you ask anybody that I have in my life actively right now, I'm sure one thing they would all agree on is how hard on myself I am. It's just, it pushes me forward, but it also holds me back when I'm wanting to elevate.
Right. Right. It's all about returning back to that balance that you know is there, you just lose it
Yes.
when you get lost in the momentum.
Yes.
2 of Cups.
The love that you're seeking for outside of yourself is going to be found within first. Point blank, period.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. 10 of Pentacles in reverse.
When you realize you don't need anything outside of yourself, that's when the universe starts to provide you with all the blessings you're seeking.
Right? Yeah. In that state of surrender, you can start to be given the building blocks. King of Pentacles in reverse.
Not gonna say that. I heard something and it's like, how they say, oh, you're gonna marry like a rich man. Like what I heard with that was I'm my own rich man. Like I'm my own rich man with my
Yeah.
thoughts, like with the thoughts that I create. But in return, that will be reflected back in time, in due time when that happens. But I really do feel this energy of because I was so codependent on other people, knowing that I can do it on my own is the peace and the umph that I need to keep going or needed to keep going. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'm adding one more card. In that regard, being that for yourself, showing up for yourself in the way that you know will then be reflected back to you. Looking at that now, like being that for yourself and becoming that for yourself, talk about what you needed to disengage with to step into that type of authority.
Seeking love from other people, being loved by other people because I'm a lover girl and you know I have always wanted to just be friends with everybody and I wanted everybody to like me. And I feel like it was just disconnecting from the validation that I need to be loved from anybody other than myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The wound of the Titan chest. Love feared more than hate. Self-love feared more than hate. Like true, deep, which you overcame that because this was
Wow.
all about opening your heart,
Yeah. Wow. The alignment of everything
right?
just.
Right. Do you have any final words?
To anybody that's watching, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Not even me. That's what I'm going to say. Not even yourself. If you have something in your mind and in your heart, see it through. And if it doesn't work out, whatever you learned upon growing that was a piece of the puzzle you needed to further your career or, you know, accomplish your dreams or your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait till you see how much in alignment this is with the blueprint when it comes out.
Ugh, I'm excited.
Some people survive by hardening. She survived by softening, not as submission, but as sacred defiance. She didn't just live through the wound, she listened to it. And what she heard reshaped her. This conversation wasn't just about pain, it was about what lives after pain, about the voice that rises once it's no longer performing, about the boundaries that form when you finally believe you're worth protecting, and the light that enters not in spite of the wound, but because of it. If you've ever been made to feel like your kindness was a liability, if you've ever been told your softness made you suspicious, or if you've ever had to rebuild your trust in yourself from the ground up, let this be your reminder. You are not too much. You are not too nice, and you are not naive for choosing love again. You are the light that entered through the wound. And thank you, Celia, for reminding us. Thank you for watching Humans for Humanity, and we will see you next time.